Yay is chilling. Jay is chilling. What more can I say? Teaser, don't please her. Never leave her. Gah, gah, nya, nya, nya. Gah, nya, nya, nya. Nya, nya, nya. Nya, nya, nya. Na, na, na. Na, na, please her. Don't tease her. Never leave her. I don't know what it is, but something singing soul music with a British accent is hilarious to me. But I'm also easily entertained, so that's probably my fault. I woke up, got drunk, got caught up by the FBI. Everybody wants to be somebody, and I don't want that. Everybody wants to be somebody, and I just want to get too high. But they don't know nothing about the FBI. I said the FBI. Talking about the FBI. Talking about the FBI. Everybody be talking about the FBI. Please, don't tase her. Never leave her. Na na na, na na na, na na na, please, don't tease her, never leave her. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, feeling like they're getting free, back on the grind again. Then you don't know what I'm doing, but I'm standing again, and I'm feeling like I'm the king and the man again. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Waiting for the crew to get in so we can talk about gaming, feeling expensive again. I give it about 5 minutes to set it up. We bout to get it on. We bout to fuck it up. It's your boys ain't getting free. Back in the building. Feeling like I'm in character on the ceiling. I'm feeling like a king and I won't lose cause I keep winning. What's up, Jazz Man? How you doing? Hey, what's up, Jazz Man? How you doing? How you doing? Yo, how you doing? Yo, how you doing? Yo, how you doing? Yo, how you doing? Yo. Oh, happy Friday. Let me see, Nintendo. I just need the direct is what I need. I'm going to turn the audio down because this is going to be some Christ. I imagine the chat is probably going to be crazy on this. Well, the comments are going to be crazy. I wonder if it's all going to say drop the price. Good, I'm glad to hear it. All right, so I'm surprised either they censored the drop the price stuff or isn't here. People been feral. People been going feral nonstop. Well, you know, it's the gaming industry and things have been. Unfortunately, this is kind of just a trying time with an issue on top of like. Not only do we have the problem of like people having issues with the Switch, but also like prices in general are just going up. I'm guessing that's what you're referring to. If not, I apologize, but I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, the gaming situation, which has been kind of the running narrative. I've seen a couple crazy arguments about more of the stuff that's been coming out, and I wanted to just talk about it in general because it's not just Nintendo prices that are going up. I think PSN prices went up again. I think the consoles price went up again. I think there's been a couple price increases for PlayStation in various countries. Probably one of the best titles I've ever seen. I mean, I see clickbait YouTubers spreading misinformation. Well, we're still saying $90 games, and I think that's just wild because that wasn't even Nintendo's fault as much as that was just news outlets got ahead of them and became the prevailing opinion on that. The $90 game thing is stupid because there is no $90 game, at least in the US. Now, obviously, different territories have different pricing structures. But I wanted to kind of just talk about what's been going on because it's been a lot. These last few weeks have been a lot. If you're a Nintendo fan, you've been probably in a very conflicted spot because although you're seeing videos about the Switch 2 and you want to get excited, you're also seeing a lot of negativity and people telling you to boycott the console because of various financial practices and people doing the whole Nintendo is the Apple of the gaming industry. It's been a lot. It's been a lot as of lately. So as a result, things have just kind of been chaotic on top of the whole tariff thing, and which I don't know if PlayStation cited that as the reason why they did it, but I'm not sure actually. They haven't really gone into specifics. And then of course we had the Mario Kart World Direct, which for most people was pretty underwhelming. As a whole, it essentially just said, hey, we're going to just give you Mario Kart 8 overview, but call it a direct, which unfortunately felt like a huge downgrade for a lot of people. It felt like you essentially told them, hey, guess what? We're going to give you especially if people go back and look at the Mario Kart 8 Direct compared to this one. The Mario Kart 8 Direct was ridiculous. In terms of information, the presentation in general, which is just a different kind of experience. And we went from that to now getting essentially an overview trailer pretending to be a direct, which is really a bad sign for a game, especially when this is the game that's the main part of controversy. Although there's been a lot of other conversations going on about various other Switch games and what's been going on. There are a couple things I do think are fair critiques. For example, if the Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild exists and is supposed to be essentially, unofficially at this point, would be considered the definitive edition, why, and it's already, I think it's, what is it? The Breath of the Wild, I think it's 70 on Switch 2. I feel like at that point, you should have just added the DLC from Breath of the Wild onto that cart, because it feels like at that point you're kind of just if I wouldn't for the original whatever, but for the Switch 2 version you absolutely should have added it, because it feels like at that point we're just missing out on an experience. It's hard to even call that the definitive edition of the game. It's like it runs better, but what about the DLC? Is at least the DLC included? No, maybe, yes, please, that'd be nice, cool. I agree with that critique. Nintendo's messaging on how these carts are going to work has been kind of all over the place. Doug Bowser's not had the best PR run. Regardless if I agree with the whole Don Matrick situation, it's never a good sign when your PR is being compared to Don Matrick, considering what that led to. Now, like I've said before, Xbox's problem was a lot more than just simply that. People are trying to use the Don Matrick situation is equatable. It's not really equatable other than the question itself, not their positions in the industry at all. Xbox wasn't even on top when the Xbox One came out. They were third place. They were still trailing behind Nintendo and Sony by the end of the generation they were coming off of. So it wasn't anything like that. But as we're at now, it feels like we're in a very concerning position, because Xbox is talking about their cloud Steam gaming service. PlayStation, because I've learned it. I've heard a couple of people say it. I think people are more willing to give PlayStation a pass for some of their fuckery, because they think that at least them fucking up their money at least felt like a more worthwhile adventure. And to me, it was not. You got less games, and I'm not even saying that they were all trash, but you got less games overall of still variety of quality. Everything from like Knack, Killzone, Infamous, God of War, and Horizon. Those were all not the same tier quality. And I think the reality is just that Nintendo, unfortunately, is not viewed as a premium product. Therefore, the premium price proposition is still acting like it's ridiculous. Now, once again, I think people are liars. Consumers speak with their wallets more than anything else. And the one thing I've learned is that a lot of consumers are fucking liars. What they're going to do is say all this dumb shit and then proceed to not stick to their guns in any way, shape, or form. And people are making think pieces because they're trying to make nefarious means out of what's been going on in the industry and talking about, well, we know how we rewarded Xbox. You didn't reward Xbox. Like, think about it. I saw people talking about, oh, well, you know, we reward the companies that make good decisions. I'm like, you didn't really reward Game Pass. You know what you guys did? You just bought less Xbox consoles. How is that rewarding the company? Well, you know, they got more subscriptions on Game Pass. Okay. I don't think they would have complained about their console getting bought more either, though. Just saying, that would have probably helped them out. And I think, and the problem is that, unfortunately, and I don't like and I know people are going to get mad when I make the joke, because some people are going to be like, oh, so there isn't a Nintendo bias. You're just making you're making an accusation based off of, like, a lack of evidence. Even though that's not intrinsically true. What's actually happening is that it feels like when Nintendo does things in the industry, it somehow seems to change certain aspects of the conversation only when Nintendo does it. And that's a part of the narrative I've never cared for. I've never cared for this weird narrative that if Nintendo does something, then it's like a problem, or then it's like a bigger deal. Because people don't get this angry with Sony stuff. Like, I think this week we got an announcement of the increase in price for PSN, but I think it's only for like, is it only for like Europe? It's not for the US? And I'll go back and look just to double check. I'm thinking that's what happened. I might actually need to go on Twitter, and that's not what I wanted to do. I was not in the mood to go to Twitter. I guess we have to go to Twitter. Hold on. Also, Richie's saying he misses the day of $60 games. We haven't had $60 games. Actually, Nintendo was the last bastion of $60 games. Nintendo games are the only ones. Nintendo were the only company that was still offering $60 games, and we lost that. We lost that at the end of this generation. Because now we won't have any unless the game is considered a budget game, which is kind of crazy to me. That now a budget game is considered it's $60. I'm betting money that's like the only time we'll get it now. Where is? Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Wario 64 posted about the PSN price hike. Yeah, they did. GameStop's doing a midnight release for Switch 2. Kind of figured that was coming. That's all the pre-order stuff, but I need to find the PlayStation price increase. It shows how much it has changed. Yeah. I guess the question is, I guess what we should start with is, which makes the most sense, is the Nintendo Switch 2 now has an official pre-order date, which is crazy that we're still in that conversation. So the pre-order day, I believe, is April 24th. And a bunch of different stores have already talked about pre-order dates and when they're going to announce. And when you can get online, which seems to be midnight for most of these places. Hey, at midnight, you guys can get on and pre-order your console on the 24th, which means, spoiler, it's going to be a mad dash like it always is. So prepare yourselves, I guess, is how I'm going to say for that, especially because scalpers are going to be running rampant like crazy. And so there's good news and bad news with this announcement of the pre-order date. The good news is that the console and the games, well, I'll put it, the good news is that the console didn't change price. The bad news is that the games didn't change price either, which means obviously if you were someone who wanted the price to be dropped for for Mario Kart World, which, let's be real here, I think everybody wanted the price to be dropped. Now, people are still willing to buy it, sure, but I think everybody would have been cool if they said, hey, you know, we're going to make Mario Kart World $60 or offer a $60 version, right? I think that very much would have still been something people would have approved of. But the point is, they didn't do that, and Donkey Kong's still 70. And the long story short is that the game pricing is still exactly what it was before, so you're still going to spend money, right? But the worst part is that not only did that happen, but on top of all of that, all the accessories went up. All the accessories went up by varying degrees of price. Most of it seems to be like a range of $5 to $10. I don't think I've seen anything more than $10. And I guess the question was, if we're gonna have to take an L, is the L that we took okay? So I think if I'm looking at the list, the Pro Controller went up by $5. Joy-Cons, I went up by $5. The Joy-Con grip, I think some of them went up by like $5, and then some of them went up by like $7 or something, $8. But most of the jump up in prices have been mainly about $5 to $10 in that range. And I guess the first question I will ask the chat is, do you think that was a fair trade-off? That the games and the console stayed the same price, but all the accessories went up? Like the camera's now $55 instead of $50. Like, was the trade-off worth it? In my opinion, it was, because let's be real here, especially since they already announced that like all your previous Switch 1 stuff will work on Switch 2. That means realistically, no one's in a huge I have a Switch OLED, Richie. I have my OLED right here, actually. Hold on. Here's my OLED, Richie. So yeah, I have my OLED right here. What was I gonna say though? But I guess the question, yeah. So, and granted, the prices, I think people are tripping on the accessory increases, but I'm like, the accessory increases, considering you don't have to buy most of this stuff out the gate, the only thing I think people would want to get day one is probably a Pro Controller. That's the only thing I think people are going to want to get day one. And if you can use your previous Pro Controller on the Switch 2, it's not a big deal unless you're really fiending for that game chat day one. That's the only reason why. And plus that it still comes with the Joy-Con, so you can still use game chat even if you're using the Pro Controller, I assume. I mean, I wasn't buying all that accessory stuff one day anyway. Exactly. I say it's fair considering the circumstances. Of course, I don't think anyone really had. I didn't look too deeply into the fan response that they were. Actually, I can look at some of the comments on Nintendo Everything since I'm on here anyway. Love to see the console and games holding at price. The Pro Controller increase is brutal though. It's not. It's $5. I wouldn't say brutal. A $5 price bump on the controllers is better than what I was expecting. Doesn't change the fact that you shouldn't really need them since the Switch Pro controllers are compatible with Switch 2 games. Some of these be a tad brutal, yet important that the console and video games are holding. We'll not get these accessories through anything but secondhand unless Target does mad deals. Let's fucking go. Those controller prices are wild though, but it sounds like the current Pro Controller and GameCube adapter will be compatible, so I'm not worried about it. Said how some financial stickers are where they currently are, considering how prices add up everywhere else. Switch 2 prices aren't actually so hard or bad to swallow, kind of, compared to the other games and platforms, to say the least. Finally, I guess the rest of the world will be subsidizing the price for them as usual. You're welcome, burgers. All right, maybe it was supposed to be buggers because of British, maybe. So the worst and most obvious offenders stay the same, but they raise all the accessories that people pay less attention to, so to eat the cost instead. There's also some non-conspiracy theory explanation. Please don't buy accessories for consoles that they don't own, so high console prices will cut into both the console and accessory sales. High accessory prices don't have the same effect. Not every decision a business makes is based upon tricking the consumer. That's what I said. Hide and spread up the charges across pointless stuff that mostly impulse purchases slash relative gifts anyway. It's whether the normies will accept the sticker shock on the games at all, though, is yet to be seen. Most Blue Ocean people who've only ever bought Nintendo games because they were seen as approachable and cheaper than real games, though that may be the skewed based on my own family experience. It's not. Unfortunately, that's just the narrative that Nintendo's battle, weirdly enough, is not only being still viewed as the kiddie console, but also being viewed as the budget console. That's going to be where the fight really is. I mean, a lot of people were expecting the OLED Switch 2 down the road, which makes more sense anyway. They'll probably wait a few years once prices get cheaper and mellow out, and then they're like, okay, here we can release an OLED that's more, but not like offensively more. Anyways, I asked because I noticed some OLED users don't plan to upgrade at all, so I'm not sure how y'all feel. OLED means I don't understand. Just because I have an OLED Switch does not mean I wouldn't want to switch to. It's not, the screen was not like the thing that had me, that was like a make it or break it for me. Because the OLED console only has like a couple advantages. It has more memory, it has a better kickstand, it has an OLED screen, but like none of those things are like, I'm not gonna buy the Switch 2 because of them, Richie. So for me personally, no. Unfortunately, and I hate to tell people this because I think people tend to forget, Nintendo fans are kind of used to the multiple console owning thing purely because of the handheld system. A lot of Nintendo gamers are handheld gamers, or at least were handheld gamers back in the day. So what did that mean? That means that they bought the Game Boy, the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP, the Game Boy Micro, the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo DXXL, the Nintendo DS Lite, the Nintendo DSi. We bought so much stuff that like we're just kind of, then what? The Nintendo 3DS, the Nintendo 3DS XL, the Nintendo 2DS, the Nintendo new 3DS, the Nintendo new 2DS. What was the other? What was the Wedge? What was that one called? The Nintendo. It wasn't called the 2DS. What was it called? Most people bought like multiples of the 3DS. Technically, I owned at least two 3DSs, and I owned like two DSs. And then I owned like the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Advance SP, and at one point I owned the Game Boy Color. Like, as a Nintendo fan, we're kind of used to just jumping up in consoles. The budget conversation that Nintendo fans tend to go through is because a lot of people just don't view them as like a high-end console manufacturer. Even though the only reason why that's come through is because of the narrative when it comes to video games. The cartoony, childlike games, unfortunately, with Nintendo has the opposite problem Sony has. Sony's identity is so buried in a cinematic experience at this point that their games have a tendency to look the same. But because they're more like movies and TV shows, they get the pass of being mature and for adults. Nintendo, on the opposite hand, very much holds on to its mainstays. Mario is still iconic. Legend of Zelda is still iconic. Pokemon will forever be iconic. And then you get a couple sprinkling of new IPs like ARMS and Splatoon and things like that. And really, Splatoon is the main thing that's took out of that group. And even then, the Splatoon very much fits into that Nintendo cartoon, Nickelodeon style, like animation and Donkey Kong, things like that. And as a result, Nintendo's like bread and butter creates the narrative that all they do is live in the past and they bait on your nostalgia. And as a result, they don't really, and their games are just fun, but you don't do anything else with them other than just have fun. You're not investing into a plot, a story, a narrative. And even when Nintendo games have a plot and story and narrative, it's usually nothing to the same level as a Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima or an Infamous, right? Like that's how, or God of War or Horizon, which, granted, Horizon's plot is absolutely garbage. No one cares about Horizon's plot. If Horizon's gameplay wasn't as good as it was, the game would die. The game does not stand on its own plot, but that's a whole other issue. My point is that like Nintendo, unfortunately, being the company that's so baked into its brand that it's two main things when people think Nintendo. If it's not the characters, it's usually like nostalgia and like affordable. And unfortunately, Nintendo is trying to cast away the affordable part of their image, which is creating this nasty backlash. But unfortunately, I think this is a band-aid that needs to be ripped off, because otherwise Nintendo will never be seen as a proper gaming console. And to be fair, Nintendo's had this problem probably since the Super Nintendo, and it's partially because of how they portrayed themselves back in the day. Because of course, when they were saving the video game industry, the way they saved it was pretending like video games were toys. The whole Rob thing, right? Even though the Rob games are absolutely trash, that being presented as a toy is what allowed them to thrive and provide experiences that stuck with people for the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, the problem is that it also allowed their competition to be viewed as the more hardcore, with the whole Sega thing, and then PlayStation, and then Xbox, right? Oh, we're the adult consoles. We have guns and blood and violence in our games. And Nintendo is still playing with Mario ever since the 1980s or the 1990s. And it's like, and so now Nintendo's biggest struggle this gen is going to be to take that Band-Aid off and be like, we can be expensive and we can provide you some quality visual and technical experiences. And as a result, fans are going to get angry. Now, granted, there are some things they're doing here with the console that I'm not inherently in love with. Like I said, when it comes to the Legend of Zelda upgrade, if you're going to make me do an upgrade, at least give me the DLC with it too. Just make it the definitive edition. The Apple comparison with Nintendo isn't completely unwarranted. There was like a video I saw trying to make the argument that like Nintendo is essentially, that Nintendo's problem in gaming is things that people have been had issues with. Like, for example, the Nintendo games never lower in price, right? So it was never really a benefit. You can't even play the wait and see game with Nintendo because most of their games don't change in price. Like right now, I think most of their games are still like $50 to $60. Nothing's really dropped. And essentially, there's an interesting argument that came up that maybe Nintendo's trying to make the claim that their games technically, the value of their game doesn't drop just because time has passed, which is arguably true. There are plenty of games that are currently available to the player that are cheap as hell that absolutely deserve their asking price back in the day. I think that's a fair argument to make. The problem I think people have is that Nintendo is dictating it and not the consumer. And it's also for games that people just haven't played yet. Rather play any Nintendo game than any of Sony's walking simulators. Gaming is a luxury, not essential. Well, of course it is, but people don't care because they still love this industry. And I love this industry, but let's be real here. This industry's been having problems for like years now. Like, this isn't like a new issue. But people, of course, look at Nintendo's decisions and say you're exacerbating the issue, which is I'm not gonna say is like a false statement. You could argue that it's not helping anything because I don't think it is. Yeah, Nintendo Selects and PlayStation Hits aren't coming back. Of course, it's not. Which once again isn't really too surprising. It's just one of those like, damn, this is where we're at kind of situations, and that's where people have people not happy. For lack of a better term. They're just not happy. I'm looking to see where the hell is that. Let me go look. Because, I mean, I think most people here in the chat agree that the trade-off of losing an extra $5 or $10 on accessories was worth the trade-off than to make the console more expensive. Because the console's already getting its own share of criticism through other means. I would like to see the price not be another thing or even more of a thing. PlayStation price increases. Because I remember seeing something. What is it? It was PlayStation Plus. That's what it was. PlayStation Plus. Wait, what the hell just happened? Oh. There we go. Yeah, it was PlayStation Plus. And there was also the PlayStation, like, then it was the console. Let me see what the PlayStation Plus was. Give me. Oh my God, these are trash. I hate the way this. Why is this? Okay. I think so. The countries that would be getting increases was Chile, Argentina, Colombia, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Peru. It's also getting more expensive in Australia, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. And then it's getting more expensive in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. And then apparently also, because it's getting increased in, what does that say, Canada and Turkey, I think is what that's supposed to be, but it's spelled weirdly. So PlayStation Plus is just getting an increase. I don't think they gave a reason though, did they? Yeah, Nintendo Switch. Oh, never mind. I already read that one. So yeah, PlayStation Plus, except for the US, is getting an increase, which means, of course, a lot of Americans don't care. I think the price is going to go up if tariffs still present a problem. Most people would love for them to eat the difference, but Nintendo's a company, so they will do what's best for them. Of course, I guess the argument is, as a consumer, what are you still willing to buy? That's kind of really what this is. So let's see, so most of the increases is about, some of them are kind of bad. Like the base plan, which is what most people would get for a year, it was originally $95 for, at least for Canada, is now going to $110. The 12-month subscription, which was originally $155, is now going to $190. And then the crazy edition, which was $190, is now going to $225. Funny enough, that also means that the 1 month subscription is now the same price as a Nintendo Switch 2 title. Because from what I was told, $110 is what it's now going to be in Canada for Mario. I think it's just specifically Mario Kart, but someone can correct me. And obviously this is a tariff issue. But of course it doesn't matter because the consumer is the one who's paying the price for it. I guess the question is, I'm surprised NSO is still the same price, honestly. I am too, actually. I actually am too. I'm very surprised that I'm surprised that Nintendo Switch Online is still the same price. But to me, that just proves the point. If they really wanted to be greedy, they would have been. That's why I don't like the argument that they're being greedy, because if they were going to be greedy, they could have done things like well, Nintendo Switch 2 games can't use the Nintendo Switch 1 controllers because it doesn't have a C button on it. This is why I don't like the argument that the company's just straight out being greedy. If they really wanted to be greedy, they could have made us pay for all new controllers and all new accessories after just jacking the price of them. They could have made Nintendo Switch Online another $20 more expensive and made it to what base PlayStation Plus was, which was $60 a year, right? If they really wanted to play that game. But it is what it, I'm not surprised. It's just not helpful. And then, of course, we have price increases for the console in Europe. It is going from, I think the digital edition of the PS5 is going from $429. Hold on, where is it? No, where's the new prices? Made it into two in the UK and $4.99 in Europe. So Monday there will be no price change for the standard PS5, which comes with a disc drive. So the base PS5 is still affordable. It's just the digital ones that got more expensive. That's interesting. I didn't think that would be the thing that would cause it. Australia, they go up to $829. Jesus Christ. The digital one goes up to $749. In New Zealand, it goes to $949. And the digital's $859. My God. Nintendo always nickel and dime people. They always nickel and dime people. They are here to make money. Well, I guess the question is, when does them making money become too predatory for you? What is too much? What is some genuine critiques you have in the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing situation? Because as of right now, my biggest thing It's probably just more of the wording they're using and some of the things not being 100% clear. The $90 game narrative just going all out of the window, bro. And like I said, part of me thinks that's just because it's Nintendo. Like some of the stuff that happens here, I think is just because it's Nintendo. Because Nintendo is the new console and it's the only new console. It's gonna take the brunt of the criticism, which I think realistically is what happened with the Wii U. Remember when the Wii U came out, and the Wii U, although what had its problems, it got critiqued from hell and back before the console was out because it was the only new console to talk about. Hence why I think Nintendo Switch 2 conversation is so popular right now. It's literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Because it's the main thing in gaming that's worth talking about right now. You don't have a lot of new games that are out right now. We have a couple that are coming out, but like the Nintendo Switch 2 is like the most, especially for Nintendo fans, it's like the thing we would be talking about. We would literally just be discussing what's going on with Nintendo and what's going on with the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Mario Kart Direct. And the reason why I'm not even really talking about the Mario Kart Direct is because there's not like a lot to say. I will say that Direct didn't do itself any favors for me personally. I'll say that. Like it didn't do anything for me personally. My only issue is that everything's up front stuff. Just tell me everything I need to know. So yeah, the information aspect. Exactly. I can agree with that. Also, yeah, people are. So I'm looking. I have the Mario Kart Direct on like the other screen here, so I'm looking at that one. I have no issues with that because people are mad at Nintendo because they want to make money. Yeah, but I guess that's why I say is my question is, when does them making money become predatory? Like what happens when it stops being about, like, what is too much, I guess is the question I'm really going for. Because that's the real question. Why do they? Actually, the trick system in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Kart World looks pretty cool, honestly. But I think people's biggest issue is gonna be is, yeah, the biggest issue is gonna be is the big issue that Mario Kart World's Direct had, and I guess we should effectively talk about that. How did y'all feel about the Direct? How do y'all feel about Mario Kart World? And that's where that's a good example of my issues with the messaging. The messaging was like with this game, and I think was it Bill Trent who said it's a genre defining game. And I'm like, damn it, don't say that because that implies something completely different. So unfortunately it creates this false hype, and when we get what we get, which is essentially just I don't know what to call this. Like it's just an overview trailer disguised as a Direct. You, if anything, make people more angry, especially with the game that people are already struggling with, like justifying buying. I think Nintendo wants the mission structure to be worth the money. Yeah, but the problem is what you play Mario Kart for. But see, alternative visuals, this is the Direct for it. So it's weird that the Direct that's supposed to show off the game is still not showing off a lot of stuff, and that's where the problem is created. I think and KG kind of explained it best to me. If you were a Mario Kart fan who was already like looking into the minutia of this, you already knew all of this stuff just from like just discussing it, like just going around and like looking at footage from the treehouse and just going through it. So this doesn't really do anything for the fans who are already into the game, and I think that's probably the biggest problem this thing has. It's more this felt like information for people who weren't watching Mario Kart. The problem is of all Nintendo Switch 2 titles, it's the game people are watching. People are watching the hell out of this game. So like this is the it's also the most successful game on the Switch. It's the sequel to let me rephrase that. It's the sequel to the most successful game financially on the Switch. So why would they not be watching it? Mario Kart is like the casual of casual games. Everybody and their grandmother watches for Mario Kart. Even if your interest in Mario Kart isn't like crazy. Like my interest in Mario Kart is pretty middling. It's not the game that like would kill me. It's not, to me, it's not even a system seller. I'm only getting it because I know everyone else is going to get it, and I also know that like if I'm buying the console anyway, that would probably be the game I get. So I'm not really surprised, but I guess my point is that like if there's any game that needed a crazy showing, it was definitely Mario Kart World. And unfortunately, the Direct kind of is just, hey, here's some things you may not have noticed if you weren't paying attention. Spoiler alert, it's Mario Kart and people are paying attention because you're charging $80 for it. The other thing that would have probably also helped them is that they mention what people are theorizing. People are theorizing that the reason why this game is $80 is because they're going to do something where essentially they're never going to charge you for DLC. It's almost like you're buying the DLC up front. Which, if that is the case, cool. But the problem is we have no confirmation of that. So there's no reason to assume that inherently because there's no proof that is what it is. That would be just a guess. And that's what I mean by like, this game could have this Direct very much could have helped the notion that that isn't what's been going on. Damn, because of tariffs. Then why did people vote for Trump? Because Kamala wasn't good. Kamala wasn't good. That's all I'm going to say on that. I'm not going to go any crazier than that. Just Kamala wasn't good. Hold on. Yeah, I wasn't really impressed, and I was expecting them to do this after how long the Direct was confirmed, which worried me. Yeah, the fact that it was only 15 minutes, but I didn't know that until later. It was already a problem in itself. Because it's Mario Kart. If there's any game you should definitely be pushing for like a crazy showing of, it's fucking Mario Kart. And that's absolutely not what they did, and it just kind of bummed me out because I'm like, bro, why would you do that? Yeah, this Direct is not showing you anything crazy. Like I think I'm in the last section of it, and we're talking about game chat, which is crazy to bring up game chat as if no one saw your Direct. Do you think people didn't see the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that brings up game chat? Come on now, what? I don't know. It just the logic confuses me. But I guess the question is, and I want to make this as a general conversation, not specifically Nintendo. Do you think gaming has gotten too expensive with all these new confirmed prices and increases and whatnot? And Xbox is sitting pretty, but they're going to not do anything with the opportunity because there's nothing they can really do. Yeah, the problem for me to push game chat is when game chat isn't even like fully realized in the sense of having, like, you can tell they put a lot of effort into game chat, like doing all this cool shit. And cool, I'm not gonna knock it for it, but people are immediately gonna be like, well, bro, I'm gonna get on Discord anyway. Like, I'm happy to see it in the console, and I'm happy to see that they're pushing it. I'm glad it's like a main feature and whatnot, but unfortunately people aren't impressed with a feature that came out like years ago, or at this point probably decades ago. On top of not being impressed, it still has its own issues with having that weird small frame rate thing, which once again I get is for processing. Don't misunderstand. I completely understand why it is what it is. It just doesn't help. Hell, Canada should be considered poor. Orion, you're a villain. Relax, bro. Relax. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I think the game chat is for the people of Japan, which I think is huge for them. Really? Most of them have moved into mobile gaming, so I'd be surprised if it's for them. I'd be genuinely surprised if it's for them. If game chat is for Japan, that's crazy. I mean, once again, because let's be real here, online was more pushed for Americans than anything else. Not saying other countries didn't use it, but like Americans, we gleaned onto that bitch so quick. So I don't know. My feelings about Nintendo as of currently is that I'm excited for the console, but it's mired by pricing, some weird communication issues, and then third parties being absolute dickheads. I will never forgive Square, especially with this recent information that what is it? Rune Factory, I think is what it is. Is it Rune Factory I'm thinking of? Hold on, let me double check. Let's see. Where is it? Yeah, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, right? So it's releasing its game on Switch 2 and Switch 1, right? And they've already announced a couple things. One, the entire game is on the cart. So there is no like third party like game key card thing for this, which is great. What makes it even crazier, not bad news, what makes it even crazier is that this one game card can be played on the Switch 1, meaning that you don't have to buy the game twice. You can just play the game on either the Switch 1 or Switch 2, and according to them, Marvelous is just like, it'll just load the right version of the game. And you're just like, hold up, what are you talking about? And the crazy thing on top of all that is, that means this thing is more likely using a 60 gigabit card. So it's like, okay, so this is possible. It's possible to essentially put both versions of the game on the cart and then just have it work between games. The problem is this isn't a universal feature, and it very much is a game by game basis. So let me reiterate it for everyone else. Just so you understand, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma has a Switch 1 version and a Switch 2 version. When you buy the Switch 2 game, from what it looks like, you can play that physical release on your Switch 1 as well. And the game is just going to know to switch to what version of the game to play on the system. So if you put the Switch 2 cartridge in the Switch 1, it'll just play the Switch 1 version of the game. And if you put the Switch 2 cartridges in the Switch 2, it'll play the Switch 2 version of the game. This is at no extra cost. The entire game is on the cart. Technically, both games are on the cart. And the game obviously has to be about 64 gigs cart to hold the game essentially twice. At least the way it's coming off. And I'm over here like, damn, Marvelous really went out for this one title for Switch 2. And I'm like, let's go. And then I turn their head over to the corner and I'm looking at you, Square. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake, fine. I figured that was going to not be fully on the cart. I expected some sort of download fuckery. That game wouldn't have bothered me. The game that bothered me is when I looked at Bravely Default. Where is my 3DS games at, actually? This is disgusting. Hold on. Because it angered me a lot that the 3DS title, and all it is essentially just a graphical update. I barely call it a remake. That's Bravely Second, isn't it? Yeah. Where is it? I know it's here. It's not up there. Nope. Come on. No, those are the Pokemon games. No! It's all Pokemon that's Codename Steam. It's Metroid. No. It's Smash. It's Shantae. Fire Emblem, Tomodachi. Come on, what? There it is. Jesus Christ. Oh, I don't know why that took me so long. This game. This fucking game right here. This game that was originally on the 3DS. What was this? Almost over 10 years ago. Which I think Nintendo published. Did Nintendo publish this? I would crash up if Nintendo had to publish this. I think they did. I don't think it tells me how many gigs it was originally. But this game got ported to freaking Switch 2. And it's 11 gigs. We already know the file size. And you couldn't put that on the cart? You couldn't put that on the cart? Yo, what are we talking about here? What do you mean you couldn't put that on the cart? Are we stupid or are we dumb? What do you mean? And I think that's what's pissing me off, actually. Because unfortunately, we had to deal with this. By the way, anyone else shocked Nintendo hasn't used Nintendo Today to announce the pre-order update or anything meaningful since the Zelda movie? I mean, they've been talking. What did they talk about today? I know they showed like the Pro controller on here, 3D model, and then what was the other thing? And I think they did talk about like the Direct. I think this is it's the 3D model, and then they showed off Soul Calibur, Mario Kart. Yeah, they talked about the Mario Kart Direct. They talked about the loading time comparison for Switch 2. It is weird they didn't talk about the pre-orders, bro. Like, why didn't you bring up the pre-orders? That would have made so much sense. It's not even, like, marked on the calendar, bro. There's a Smash Ultimate thing. Also, this is crazy. They have a Nintendo Switch experience in various states and stuff going on. But nothing about the pre-orders, which is kind of crazy. So I'll agree. You're not even using your app like you said you're going to use your app. So now I'm just disappointed. Why did you do this? Fuck. But my point is that I'm actually curious. Nintendo Switch 2. Because I know since a bunch of stuff started popping up, we have more confirmed dates. Weirdly enough, Marvelous seems to be properly putting their games on the carts because Marvelous Daemon X Machina, it doesn't have the game keycard thing on its box. Neither does Rune Factory. Although those are the only games I see that are up currently. Did GameStop put up any more game pre-order stuff? Let me see. Let me see. They already got the pre-order thing up though. Damn it, that's not what I meant to do. Let's see. There we go. I just want to see what thing's up. So Bravely Default still has the stupid key card. Street Fighter has the stupid key card. Street Fighter 6 I'm like half and half with. Like, I get it. I'm not in love with it, but I get it. Aren't pre-orders on Thursdays? Yeah, the 24th is next Thursday, I believe. Yeah, it's next Thursday, so it's going to be something. It's weird because there isn't a lot of games that actually have their pre-order open. It's mainly just the console, which is interesting. What was I trying to say before? Damn, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I'm just angry. I'm angry that this is what we're dealing with. That we're gonna have companies on the same fuckery with this. But like I think people were trying to tell them before, if you played your Nintendo Switch games, you would know there are plenty of Nintendo Switch third-party titles that are on the same stupid nonsense of not having the game fully be on the cart. Do I have an example over here? It's not Fighters. It probably would be Doom. Oh no, I think it's also Borderlands, isn't it? Yeah. Which, by the way, I still have in packaging, weirdly enough. So, the Borderlands collection's like this, actually. Yeah, the Borderlands collection is like this. Even though there's a card, what does it say right down there? What does it say? Download and micro SD card required. It tells you that it's freaking required. Now, granted, this is a collection of games, so it's a little bit more forgivable because it's not just one title. Where's Doom at? I think Doom also had it, didn't it? Yeah. Oh, let me see. Yeah, Doom has it, but Doom hit it on the back. So the cover of it doesn't actually even show it. The cover doesn't show it. You have to turn it on the back, and it's hidden in this blue little thing in the corner, which isn't really great either. I really wish it wasn't hidden there, because then it makes it seem like you were trying to hide it from the world like people wouldn't know, because as soon as you try to download it, it's like, oh, by the way, you need this, what is it, like 10 gigs? Yeah, 10 gigs. You need at least a 10 gigabyte SD card in order for it to work. But I mean, in terms of modern gaming, if you're going to game on a budget, the best console realistically to own at this point would probably be an Xbox purely for Game Pass. You could have Game Pass and still get a pretty quality experience without really losing too much. And I can be fair and give Xbox that Pro. That's definitely a hat in their corner. Now, whether or not that's amounted to game sales remains to be seen, but that is something that they could technically be proud of. I mean, we'll see in the future what companies do in the future. Hopefully it isn't just a widespread thing. I would hope so, but unfortunately life is not that convenient. So it's, you know, we can only, it remains to be seen at this point. I'm not going to say I'm necessarily happy about it. It's just the reality we currently live in. I will say, though, I think I'm going to take a break from talking about Switch 2 after this stream, because realistically, now that we have the pre-order date and we, like, there's not much. Oh, yeah. The amiibos went up. Oh, that's right. I did see something in the Japanese commercial. Someone did say something recently, I thought. Hold on. Yeah, it says the latest amiibo costs even more. Let's see. So what are they now? The Street Fighter ones are $40? No. And the Tears of the Kingdom ones are $30. Oh, I don't even know why Street Fighter's making amiibo at all, bro. I'm gonna just be real with you. Street Fighters make no sense. Especially the characters they pick. They pick Luke, Kimberly, and Jamie. Luke makes sense considering he's essentially the new Ryu of the game. Jamie makes the least amount of sense entirely. And then freaking Kimberly, I have a feeling I know why Kimberly is what it is, but I'm still like, what? Also, I don't know if I say amiibos went up $10 more. They used to be like $15. They're like $15, $16, and they've gone up twice as much. Like, so you can get Sora for $16, and you can get all the new Zelda ones for like $30, which is really bad considering the Pyra and Mythra ones. You know, these two I have behind me, these were $30, and I could take that because 15 plus 15 is 30, right? The Legend of Zelda ones are just 30. They're just 30. And the only one I would want out of this latest batch, I'll be honest with you, would probably be Riju. Riju and maybe Sidon. Those would be like the two I would definitely want. And I don't know if I want them that much. Yeah, Riju would have been now granted, it's good quality, but it's also like now they're going from cheap little figures to like financial like investments, and that's where the concern kicks in, because now I'm spending like real money as opposed to fake money, ladies and gentlemen. I'm spending real money, not that fake money. But my point, like, but once again, that's probably more terror fuckery if we're gonna be real about it. Let me go back to Wario. Wario tends to have a lot of stuff on here. Although it's funny that people still want to talk about PC and gaming being cheap, considering if you're trying to get some of these latest graphics cards, you are spending an absurd amount of money. Did people see the amount of those new AMD cards and NVIDIA cards that came out? Fucking ridiculous. Like $1,000 or more in most cases. I'm so disgusted. Where is it? So I'm scrolling like deep in here. Also, we got, oh, yeah, that's right. We also got the Star Wars Outlaws for Switch 2 that's coming out in September, which I think is fine. It's not really being hit with anything else, so it should be fine. So I guess that's fine. I'm glad that I got the Pyra and Pythra and Myra, Pythra and Mythra figures. And Mio and Noah when I get, I don't care about Mio and Noah. I'm gonna be real with you. The only way you were gonna get me to pay for some freaking Xenoblade 3 figures if it was like Senna and maybe Lands. That would probably be the two I would get. Because I don't really care much. But PC Master Race, Terrell, listen, I built a PC. I'm not saying PC isn't like goated, but it's not that goated, bro. What the fuck? Oh, I see what happened. They went up tariff prices. Got it. I see what happened. Originally, they were going to be cost $20 and $30 respectfully. I don't even know why Street Fighter thought that was a good idea to charge them that much anyway. I mean, Mio and Noah are fine, Daryl. They're not like the characters I really care about like that. Like, they're cool. But then, like, I'll be real with you. Three's cast is just kind of fine. I don't love them. Like, it's hard to go from 2, where I absolutely love the characters in 2. Like, y'all need to understand something. I love the entire main cast in 2. Tora, Poppy, Nia, Dromark, Rex, Pyra, Mithra, Zeke, Pandoria, Bridget, Morag. That whole squad to me was 100% goated. And then you go from that to 3, where my squad is just okay. I wouldn't call it bad. It's just okay. The standouts for that one is probably Uni and Tyon are probably the standout writing wise. And then personally, I like Senna, but Senna doesn't get enough love in the main story, and Lands. Characters of 2 is goated. Fuck that gameplay though. Chill out, Orion. Alright, this is why I hate dealing with Orion. Orion talks too much shit in general, bro. He talks so much shit, man. You be trying to start fights with me. I don't even be doing that. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the compliment to 2. 2 has great characters. Is all I'm gonna say. We're gonna hang there, and I'm gonna be happy with that compliment. I mean, I'm still working through 2, but I love Morag and Tora. Zeke is cool too. Sorry, Terrell, but Xenoblade 1's cast is better than 2. Absolutely disagree. Xenoblade 1's cast has the problem of like old school anime, where they introduce a character, they're relevant for their arc, and then they don't matter for the rest of the game. Charla, I'm looking at you. 2 has a good cast. I mean, 1 has a really good cast. Don't get it twisted. I think the characters who stick out the most, weirdly enough, is probably Shulk, Dunban, and Melia. Although mainly Shulk and Dunban, I think, stick out the most. Dunban, weirdly enough, is the kind of character Zeke is supposed to be, but obviously he's like a very weird, their parties are very similar in some aspects. The healer, who's really, really rough around the edges, which is Nia and Charla. The kind of aloof main character. Of course, Shulk is actually smarter intellectually than Rex, but I think Shulk is also older than Rex. You have your tomboyish female love interest in the form of like Fiora / I guess that would be, it would probably be Mithra more than anything else. It'd probably be more like Rhine. It's Rhine time. I'm loving this game economic saga you've been on these last 3 weeks. I mean, it's nothing crazy, Tyrone. We're just talking about finances and stuff, and then we got caught in the Xenoblade conversation because we're making arguments. I'm just telling people in the chat that Xenoblade 1's cast is weaker than Xenoblade 2's. You're just not gonna. Yeah, Zeke is definitely a parody of Dunban, which is probably the reason why I like him. Because he is wise like Dunban, but it's not in the same way. He's more wise in his failures than he is in his like successes. But he also very much has his heart and mind in the right place and has his moments of being like a true adult. He'll even in like the right moments, he always seems to know what to say. Dunban is just more competent consistently. Like honestly, the way I look at Zeke, Zeke is just an unlucky version of Dunban. And Dunban wasn't incredibly lucky either. He was luckier than Zeke. I'll just say that. Now Ricky arguably is the best of the Nopon, although I think Tora has more character development. Ricky, I think is just as enjoyable, but I think Tora is better written overall. And then if we look at, I guess Melia's correlation would be like Morag, which the problem with those two is that those are two completely different characters. I personally prefer Morag, but I recognize that Morag doesn't get the same love in the story as like the other characters because she doesn't have like a character development arc she really goes through. The stuff in More Ardain isn't even about Morag. It's about Tora. So as a result, Morag doesn't get really an arc or a section to herself. But at the same time, which is the opposite of Melia, who is like the main focus of her section of the story. The Xenoblade trilogy is great, and I think if there was any series that has a strong argument of how seriously Nintendo can take their games, it's Monolith Soft. Monolith Soft kills it. It's probably Monolith Soft with the Xeno games, and then probably Metroid. Those are like the two titles I think that kind of cross generations when it comes to having the conversation of, hey, Nintendo games can be taken seriously. It's weird, but when I see some Melia and Rex, hard to justify why though. I mean, it's a vibe. There's a little bit of a vibe there. I think it's more in the naiveness than anything. Because Melia is like a naive ruler, like someone who just hasn't really. She grows into a fine woman. I'll just say that. I think, but she very much is in that same naive state, which I think is the reason why people don't like Rex, because Rex isn't like a seasoned fighter, nor is he like inherently just smart off the gate. He's very much like Zeke, which is why I geek out when I look at Rex when he's older, when we get to see him in the DLC, and he very much is copy Zeke's style completely. Like he's completely swagger jack Zeke in his entirety. He said, "Bro, I fuck with your style in your life so much." No, Rex is like 15, I think. I think Rex is 15. Shulk is probably 18, but Rex I think is like 15. Nah, Rex is annoying like Naruto. I knew that was gonna come up. That's fine. All right, hold on, guys. Let's not get too deep into the Xenoblade conversation. Let's just finish up with the financing talk. There wasn't really a lot left to go over, but I guess we can make some predictions about how we think this is gonna go. Right? We have the Switch 2 coming out in less than 2 months. It's like a month and a half at this point. We already know we now have a locked-in price for games and consoles, even after tariffs and apparently amiibo and accessories as well. How do we feel about the pricing? No, how do we feel about the financial success of this console? Because a lot of people are talking a lot of shit. Now, what this kind of doesn't matter in the same way as people think it does, not only because of the casuals, but because people lie. People will say all this shit online to be a part of the crowd and then still fold when it comes down to it. It's like how people talk about how disgusting OnlyFans and like Fansly and all these like sex worker sites are, but the top people in those sites make absurd amount of money still. I'm afraid the terrorists will force me to buy the console. What? Melvin, what do you mean? What kind of statement? Oh, because the fear of it getting more expensive, so people will buy it now versus buying it later before it gets more expensive. You could. I mean, to me personally, that's kind of the thought process I'm going to go with. It doesn't make any sense. Also, for me, I'm getting Donkey Kong that next month regardless. So I think it's worth the justification just for that reason alone. If I'm planning to buy Donkey Kong, it does not make any sense to wait a month to just not to hold out, especially knowing that there's a bundle right now that just objectively is the better deal. But of course, if you want your physical copy, that's where the frustration kicks in. But I think isn't the PS5 at like 80 million right now, I believe. Someone correct me. But I think the PS5 is currently at 80 million, right? Am I wrong? Getting the Switch day one, getting Switch 2 day one regardless. Gotcha. I should have did lifetime sales. If the cost of price goes up, I think they're in trouble. Well, I mean, I don't think it'll be because of Nintendo. I think it'll be because of the economic state of the country, if anything. What is the lifetime sales? Oh, they're at 74. That was like a month ago. So yeah. So the PS5 is now at 74. The Xbox is at 32. That's a crazy drop off. It's at 32 mil. It's not even close. Oh my Lord. And I think it sold worse last year than it did the year prior. My God, Xbox is struggling, bro. The Mario Kart World Bundle will be hard to get because everyone will try to buy that console. Nintendo will be all right. People are going to buy it, and I'll be buying it also if I can. I'm expecting a lot of people will do the same if they want it all. LOL, I see the Nico figure behind you while I got the Nami figure behind me. The irony. That is not Nico. That is Boa, you fake fan. And that was the gift from Tyrone that I was supposed to get 3 years ago? 3. No, it was before that. So it was probably like 5 years ago, actually. 3 years is when I was supposed to get it, but KG didn't give it to me. And then KG finally gave it to me this year. So it's probably like a 5-year-old gift that I just got a few months ago. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not really worried about Nintendo financially. I mean, Nintendo, I think, will be like realistically fine. I don't think that's really the concern. Nintendo, I think, is in a much better place financially than they were before. Think about it. Nintendo during the Wii U era weren't great. It was at the point that if the Switch 1 didn't sell, people are like, Nintendo might have to look into becoming like a fucking software only company. And a lot of people wanted that because it was like, woo, finally, now I don't have to buy a Nintendo console that runs games at like 2 frames a second. And I can buy a real console like a PlayStation or an Xbox. And then Nintendo came out with the Switch that just blew the world away. And then they started reinvesting into their brands in different avenues. The Lego stuff, the movies, some shorts, the TV shows. Like, it's just become... They're in a much better place financially with the game selling as well as they did. The movie doing absurdly well. You got a second Mario movie coming out next year. You got fucking Zelda in the works, ironically enough, in works with Sony, of all people. I don't want any excuses from you, Lightning. You said the wrong person's name. Apologize for your sins, you rat bastard. You rat bastard. Nintendo financially will be fine. If anything, this will be kind of like what the 3DS might be when it first started, because the 3DS came out, and I think problem is that people are looking at, well, fans changed how that console handled itself. I'm like, well, the 3DS just also didn't have convincing software when it came out. Like, people always like to talk about the 3DS's biggest problem being something along the lines of like this. I think people don't understand the problem with these consoles. This is some armchair analyst bullshit, because they would say things that don't make sense. The 3DS's biggest problem is that the 3DS didn't have any games when it came out. It kind of had it had a couple of remakes and nothing really new. And then it wasn't until 2012 where it had new games that were worth something. And also, I think that's also when we got the XL, right? The 3DS XL came out 2012, I want to remember. Oh, when did the 3DS XL release? I want to say it was 2012, though. 3DS XL release day. Yeah, it was 2012. So the 3DS XL came out in 2012. Like a year after the console release, because then the original 3DS was Original 3DS was 2011. Yeah, exactly. Mario Kart 7 was that 2011? I am surprised that was 2011. I did not think that was 2011. Let me see. I'm surprised then. If it was 2011, why it didn't... What was that? Yeah, Mario Kart 7. Let me see. Mario Kart 7. I don't know why it's not just popping up for me. Come on, give it to me. It was 2011. When was it 2011? It was December 2011. That's what it was. That's what the problem was. That was the other thing that hurt it. It didn't... The 3DS came out in February, and it didn't get Mario Kart until like that December. Come on. Yeah, that's what it was. It didn't get Mario Kart until December, and they changed the price. When was that? They changed the price. Was it 2012 is when they changed the price? Yeah, they changed the price in 2012. Oh, it was no, I'm lying. It was 6 months, so it wasn't even that. No, I'm lying. It was no, it was August. It had to be in August. It was like 6 months in, I believe. Yeah, because they said less than 6 months, they announced a significant price reduction from $249 to $169.99. And amid disappointing launch sales, the company, yeah, because that was before Mario Kart even came out. That's what it was. Them first 6 months really hurt them, and they were like, "Yo, we gotta do something." So they changed the price, then released one of the most popular games on the system. Actually, what was the most bought game on the 3DS? Now that I think about it. That's the hardware. Give me the games. No. No, give me the game sales, you fucker. Oh, it was Mario Kart 7. It was Mario Kart 7. That's funny. That is funny. It was right after they lowered the price and came out with the game, with what would be the console's best-selling game. It says Mario Kart 7 was... Hold on. Are they lying to me on Wikipedia? Could be lying to me. Let's see. So I've gone off on a tangent. I'm so sorry, y'all. Hold on. This selling games. I'm curious now. I mean, I knew Pokemon would be up there anyway. We're not gonna sit here and pretend like that wasn't. I'm not surprised by that. Let's see. No, give me. Yeah, here we go. Best selling. Here we go. Yeah, it's Mario Kart 7. Then it's Pokemon X and Y. Actually, Pokemon X and Y and Sun and Moon. Actually, so Mario Kart 7 is almost at 19 million. Pokemon X and Y is almost at 17 million. Pokemon Sun and Moon is almost at, it's in the 16 millions. Alpha Sapphire and Ruby is at 14. New Super Mario Brothers is 13. Animal Crossing is 13. Super Mario Land 3D is like almost 13. It's like 12. Smash is 9. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon is 9. Yokai Watch 2 is 7. I wonder how much of that is Japan, though. Tomodachi Life is 6. Luigi's Mansion 2 is 6. Legend of Zelda Remake is 6. Nintendogs and Cats is 4. Monster Hunter 4. Zelda Link Between Worlds 4. Then Monster Hunter 4. Monster Hunter 4. Mario Maker for 3DS, that's still 3 million. Jesus Christ. Happy Home Designer sold 3 million. Majora's Mask sold 3 million. Fire Emblem 3 million. I'm glad to see Fates up there. Yokai Watch 1 sold 3. It's like 2.97. Mario Party is like 2.9. Donkey Kong Returns 3D almost 2.94. It's funny that the remakes actually did way better than people think they did, because they're beating out games that were brand new to the system. The fact that the Mario Maker is on here and sold almost fucking, and here's the kicker. It came out in Mario Maker came out in 2016, right before the Switch came out. Like, that's disgusting. That was like the latter half of Mario. I'm surprised Mario Maker did as well as it did on the 3DS. That's crazy to me. But it, like, even the Donkey Kong Returns 3D version still outsold Dream Team, Kirby Triple Deluxe, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, Paper Mario, Fire Emblem Awakening. Like, damn. It's crazy to me how much it outsold, like, mainline 3DS titles. It's believed the Yokai Watch failed in the West since sales weren't announced. I wonder if the new 3DS outsold the regular 3DS. I would doubt it personally, but that's me. I'm actually looking at some of the games. Yeah, some of the most successful games on the system still lost to fucking... Yeah, some of these games still ended up losing to fucking... to, like, the re-releases. I think I'm generally angry that Donkey Kong is as high as it is. 3D Majora's Mask, that one made a little bit more sense. Happy Home Designer should not have sold 3 fucking million, dog. That's crazy to me. Fucking Happy Home Designer, everyone made fun of that game, and that game outsold Fire Emblem and damn Zelda. That's absurd to me, bro. Then... There are a couple ones on here that I think are cool, but unfortunately, Nintendo's main, like, 10 is still, like, unfortunately, its main 10 IPs up here. Yokai Watch is, like, the only, like, exception, but it's still Mario Kart, a bunch of Pokemon games, 2D Mario, 3D Mario, Animal Crossing, more Pokemon, Smash Brothers, and Yokai Watch. And if I took Yokai Watch out, it would be Tomodachi Life or Luigi's Mansion. So that's kind of crazy. Oh, that's kind of crazy, yo. It's kind of crazy, man. I don't. Oh my Lord, that's crazy. I will say this is going to be an interesting time. Also, I just realized something. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon sold over 9 million copies. And when that game came out after the Switch released. The Switch released in March of 2017, and Ultra Sun and Moon came out November of 2017. It still fucks me up. Fucking just blows me away, bro. This generation has been and is going to continue to be interesting. The financial narrative around Nintendo will be very interesting. But everyone give their guesses. I'm gonna go look. How much did the Nintendo Switch 1 sell in its first month? Switch 1. No, let's see. First month sales. So Nintendo Switch 1 sold, oh my God, no, it sold 2.74 million in its first month. So, with that being acknowledged, the Switch 1 sold almost 3 million in its first month, and that was early March of 2017. How much Everyone, and this will be the last thing we end it on, and then we'll end the stream, and then we'll do Mario and Luigi tomorrow. What do you guys think it will sell in the first month for the Nintendo Switch 2? Your baseline is that the first Switch sold 2.74 million in its first month. I just want to hear that, and then we'll get out of here, because I think Tyrone should be streaming right now, and I don't even know what his topic is. So Adman says 2 mil. What say the rest of you? With all this financial backlash and game pricing, how much do you think? And I think Zelda sold around the same amount. I think Zelda actually outpaced the console because it also sold on the Wii U. I think Zelda sold for like 3 mil or some shit in its first month. So I guess the first question is, it's hard to do that for. It's actually hard to do that for Mario Kart, because Mario Kart, unfortunately, is Mario Kart being bundled with the console makes that one hard to figure out. Oh, you came home late, so you're not? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Tyrone. No, we need a concrete number. So, remember, the Switch 1 sold 2.74 million in its first month. Admin says it's going to sell 2 million in its first month. Alternate Visual says 1.5 million in the first month. Rob says, what is that, 1.8? 1.8 in the first month. And Melvin isn't sure. I think that there's more hype going into this. Yeah, but you got to pick a number, Mel. You got to pick a number. Pick a number. The rest of y'all, pick a number. How many units do you think the Switch 2 will sell in pretty much from June 5th to, I guess, July 5th? We'll go from that. Daryl saying 1. Melvin saying 3. Everybody else put your number in. I'm going to give you mines at the end of it. I want to gauge people's opinions at this point. How are people feeling? We got, what, how many people we have in here? 10, I think. No, we have 15. Omar says 2. A lot of you guys are hanging between the 1 to 3 million range. Most of you is hanging between the 1 to 2 million range. I'll go ahead and give you mine. I think it's going to probably do 3. I'm actually willing to bet 4. But to be humble about it, I think it'll outpace the Switches. And people will be like, you guys bought into this, you're going to ruin the gaming industry. And like I already said before, that gaming industry's been fucked up for years, and most fans didn't do anything to fix it. Well, actually, that's not fair. I won't say most fans didn't do anything to fix it. I'll say the fans that complained and the fans who actually did what they said they were going to do were not the same amount of people. There are plenty of people lying online who will still end up buying this console. I know, because people lie. People have their vices, and gaming is definitely one of mine. The funny thing is, I think the Wii U was the only console I never bought at launch. Yeah, the Wii U was the first console I didn't buy at launch. It was the first Nintendo console I didn't buy at launch. Everything else I got at launch because I wasn't gonna wait, and I hated the fact that I didn't get the Wii U earlier. It's weird. I hated that I didn't get it earlier, and then it came out with that bundle when I did buy it, but it came out after I bought it, and I was like, "Fuck." So it is what it is. Some people game, some people do crack. What kind of correlation is that? Hell, it's Sony's fault for still not having the PS5 games for 5 years. Jesus Christ, Ryan. Oh Lord, we'll leave it at that though, guys. But I'm serious though. After this week, no more Switch to financial talk, because I think I'm genuinely burnt out. I'm burnt out with the financial talk for Nintendo. I'm be real with you. It's burnt me out. There's nothing left to say. We just know that we have essentially less than 2 months. We have the rest of this month And then we have next month, which I don't think we have any. Do we have any Nintendo games coming out next month from Nintendo themselves? I don't think we do. The next Nintendo game, I think, literally is Mario Kart. So with that being said, I think on top of that, I've been talking about this stuff also in Juices Loose, which is just getting really redundant for me personally. So I don't really feel like talking about it 4 times in a row. Kid and Krista are pumping out those Nintendo Switch 2 videos like a factory. Of course they are, because this is like prime ad revenue time. I did want to talk to you guys about one last thing. It's nothing major, just wanted to talk about it real quick. So you guys have noticed I've been trying to grind out streams on this channel. As of right now, for the most part, you guys usually get at least 2 to 3 streams a week from me on this channel. It's usually something on Tuesday, something on Wednesday, and then sometimes on Friday, depending on whether or not I don't pass out. Because I think last Friday I just passed the fuck out. I don't think I uploaded anything on Friday. I just passed the fuck out, and as a result, we are slowly inching towards the partnership realm. I'm only mentioning it now because it's like the end of the stream, and the real ones will hang around for just a quick conversation. Just to get a quick update on that, because originally I think I told you guys last year I was going to give this about 3 months and see how I was at, and then if I was okay or not, then I would go back to Twitch. Now, obviously, depending on the game kind of dictates the streams, but I guess the question is, for those of you who you were in the chat, have you preferred the Twitch or the YouTube streaming experience as a whole? The Pokemon streams did well. Like the Ruby stream playthrough did really well. I was very happy to see you guys are really supportive on that. And of course, I'm still streaming on Twitch because Mario Brothership is not done yet. I'm almost done with it, but I'm not done yet. And also, I guess to quickly talk about the progress for the partnership on this channel again. I think I still need to get like another 1,000 views, and then I'll have enough to qualify for partnership. So this has been really me just kind of grinding it out. But I do want to just say there's been overall growth on this channel thanks to you guys either watching videos, liking content, supporting it. For whatever reason you may have found the reason to do this, I appreciate it immensely. Regardless if there was money in there or not, the point is I just appreciated the support regardless. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the YouTube stuff. I think my goal is to at least get partnership before I make a real decision. But please let me know in the comments and on the Discord server things I can do to improve the experience. I tried the Chroma King thing. I now have a 4K capture card. I have the second gaming PC to make PC streams a better experience for you guys. I'm just, I'm grinding it out. Even got this fucking light in my face now, which I don't know how people dealt with this for like years. This is just But it is what it is. I just wanted to thank you guys for the support. I appreciate it, honestly. As far as the future, unless I get any like feedback really going into it, my plan for me is to really just kind of grind it on YouTube. Realistically, the views and support on YouTube has been better than on Twitch. I really think that a game that viewers can play with you would be a good idea, like Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, or Pokemon, etc. That's not a bad idea, honestly. And I'm actually, and one of the other things I want to mention is that like you guys have been incredibly supportive, even though like some of you guys didn't even know about this channel. Some of you guys have slowly found out about this channel over time and be like, oh, that's where he uploads at. That's where those streams are at now. I guess the only other question is this. So I remember Revolver asking me, and some of you have asked me about my older game streams. I still have like Persona on the main channel, and I still have some of the other streams on the main channel. But here's the thing. Since I uploaded those videos, YouTube changed its policy on how long videos can be. And one of the biggest problems I'm running into is that Persona, for example, you guys would know, the way I uploaded Persona originally was in these huge ass like 20-hour chunks. And I remember Revolver being like, bro, could you upload like the other parts? Well, I have the other parts, and I actually made another chunk to upload, only to find out that you can no longer upload 20-hour parts. You have to upload like 12-hour or less now. And then my question would be, should I remove Persona off of the main channel and re-upload it over here? And if I do that, do you want it into like the traditional 2-hour chunks, 4-hour chunks, or do you want me to try to do like just the 12-hour chunks? Like, what would you prefer as a content thing? Or I can just finish uploading them on the main channel. It's kind of just up to you guys. That's the last real question I want to ask, because obviously if I upload them on here and the other parts are on my main channel, it's like split up for no good reason. So I just want to get a quick survey. And I guess that would count for all my other old gameplay streams in general. Should I start uploading? Should I remove them from the main channel and move them over here? Right now they're members videos. So of course most of you haven't seen them. Like, I think all Resident Evil 4 is uploaded on that channel. But since I uploaded those videos in chunks, they're not like, all I have to do is unprivatize them and then they're available. I haven't really done that with this channel specifically because, one, I don't have the means to. Oh no. Saudi Arabia, that's gonna be ridiculous. I am so sorry. Yark 9 or Arc 9. I'm so sorry, bro. That's fine. You guys can give me your thoughts and opinions on the server. I'll probably ask the same question on the server later. But with that being said, as far as the gameplay streams for next week, I'm hoping to finish out Pac-Man in the next stream. I need to see how much I have left. You might actually get a stream from me either tomorrow or Sunday, because I want Pac-Man done by the time Expedition 33 comes out, which, spoiler alert, comes out in like 6 days. So, yeah. And then Sunset Overdrive currently is just going to be a normal game playthrough. I want to obviously start streaming on Saturdays here, but Mario and Luigi isn't done, so I can't do that like I want to. But we're getting there. Sorry about that. But I'm gonna stop rambling, because I'm rambling now, and that's not good. But yeah, no more like Nintendo Switch financial videos unless some crazy news comes out. And if that's the case, I'm more likely just gonna make a normal video. But with all that being said, thank you guys for your support. Thank you guys for the appreciation. Thank you guys just in general. Thank you for the viewers. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the conversation. And catch me tomorrow on Twitch for Mario and Luigi Brothership. I don't think we're going to be done. I think we still have more things to do. So yeah. I gotta actually go back and check to see how much I have left for Mario and Luigi, but we have more things to do, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for the game, but unfortunately in terms of consolidating the streams into one platform. With that being said, I'm rambling. So life is indeed a game, play to win, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace. Oh. Ha ha ha. Yo ho ho. Yo ho ho ho.